Welcome to Hacking Business Technology. I said our name completely smoothly this time. I'm not going to say the web address right away, hackbiztech.com, because you already know it. You don't want to know anything more about promoting HackBizTech. Welcome to our guests, lovely guests. All four of us were guests here on this podcast, hosted by a lovely community of listeners like you. So welcome Farah Rentula, Mark Kawasaki, Matt Hooper, and myself, Matt Barron. So, what do we got on the docket this week? What's going on?
Welcome to hour 1 of episode 3.
You can record on a Hangout for up to 8 hours, so I figure we should use them all, and then it'll cost like $4,000 to edit the podcast.
So is Google a platform?
Yeah.
What?
Is Google a platform?
Is Google? Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that what Ikorio runs on? Google Apps?
No, we're Box. We're Box, ServiceNow, Salesforce, and Projector.
Ah.
Soon to be slimming that down, though, just to ServiceNow. But.
And your mail is in the cloud too?
Office 365.
Do you guys use project management on 365 or no?
No.
You use PM and ServiceNow?
We use PM and ServiceNow for some things. For our professional services, we use Projector.
Okay, so why are we talking about this? I asked a question earlier. Is it possible to run a corporation entirely in the cloud?
Yeah.
Yes.
If I was starting a company today, why wouldn't I? Is there any gaps?
Are there any gaps?
Thank you. Are there any gaps? What about call centers? Call centers in the cloud?
Of course. You got multiple voice or IP systems in the cloud now. You got Grasshopper, you got ShoreTel, you got a bunch of phone systems. All you need is IP-enabled phone systems.
Okay.
Google Voice.
Obviously, CRM, ERP, all that stuff.
But if I was starting a business today, would I really even want a call center? It's overrated.
Yeah.
I think you still need the function.
Why wouldn't you want a call center, Farah?
Just don't call it a call center. Call it.
Should use virtual avatars.
Yeah, see, I like that. Virtual avatars. That's a good idea.
But then it comes down to quality of service, because my web hosting provider gives me Nasheen, the exact same name every single time, no matter who I'm chatting with.
It's like...
Is it one dude taking 700 calls, or is it 700 people named Nasheen?
So true. I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean, a call being anything. A chat.
Okay, there we go. Chat, an IM, or whatever.
Well, some of the smaller tools that I use have one person providing chat support on their webpage, or one person that'll take phone calls, but that's it.
Does anybody have a Kindle and tried that hot button, whatever they call it?
What?
Yeah, the hot fire button or whatever it's called.
The Kindle Fires have a button. You just press it and you're instantly connected.
It's called the Mayday button or something? Mayday? I don't remember.
You're instantly connected with a live person on video, and they can take control of your screen. We need to try that like live on the show and talk to Najim or whoever it is.
So I went to a Hertz rent-a-car. I can't remember what rent-a-car it was. I walked up to a kiosk, and I thought I was going to use the kiosk, and it turned into the guy's face. There's a video.
The whole
They
kiosk?
just took away the screen, and it just all of a sudden was a person like here on the Google Hangout. Saying,
We've all seen Terminator. You don't have to describe it to us.
But you know what the best part is that it never feels to me. Well, I guess it is not really that amazing. It's not surprising, but they have this lovely video kiosk, and then they have a person standing next to the kiosk trying to convince you to use the kiosk.
Oh, totally. I want to be that person. That's such a cool job.
Take a look at all these robots. Who wants a robot?
That and the Walmart greeter.
I went to a conference in New York where there was an avatar. It was an iPad on top of the wheels, and there was someone walking around the conference in this avatar.
It's really cool. I mean, so even ATM machines, and I know we're way too much about the kiosks marketplace now, but that's a whole side story. But they actually have holographic 3D images of people now that they're starting these concept machines and kiosks for convenience stores.
Yeah,
So
the airport at San Francisco has it.
Looking hologram.
Airports have it, right? They have that cutout of a woman at U.S. Airways, is it? And she says it in Spanish and English, and it's projected onto it. It looks very lifelike. Yeah.
How long until we see it on the airplane? And your exits are here and here. And in case of emergency, I'll be right back, glowing in the middle of the airplane.
But think about it. If you just had a robot pushing a cart down the aisle and a little tablet on the side, you push what drink you want, out your drink pops. You don't need a flight attendant.
And how many accidents would that prevent? Like, I've seen an airline attendant actually trip and fall in the aisle over her cart. It kind of hilarious, and it was really hard not to laugh.
It's a hard day at work. At least she wasn't in a data center. Oh, wait, she was. In the cloud.
In the cloud.
You know what's weird is my daughter.
Literally in the cloud.
My daughter is 16 and she hates it when I say the word cloud. She's like, please don't say that. It's just ugh.
Yeah.
She's like, what is the cloud? There's no cloud. She gets really mad at me.
Well, it's funny. So kind of, I was sitting next to a pilot yesterday on my flight back, and I'm actually trying to get him to come on this podcast because it was kind of cool. So he was just talking about he was in love with technology and how he goes, I can't believe that I was flying a jet and we're flying at like 400 miles an hour, and here I am texting through my iPad to some guy sitting in Doha. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, one time I took a photo of, like, as I was on, getting on the plane, I got a photo of the pilot in the pilot's seat on his phone texting. That was freaky. Like, don't text and fly, right? I mean, we weren't off the ground yet.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, apparently these pilots take these amazing photos. There's like a whole photo blog of like awesome photos. So they're not allowed to fall asleep or do other things, but there's nothing to say that they can't take photos apparently. So they have these big, cool cameras. They take these hardcore photos, anyways, in the clouds of the clouds. So.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so back to your corporation that you're a part of, Matt. You're totally in the cloud, but you're still installing apps locally, right?
Well, I have Evernote locally. I have Outlook locally, right?
Okay.
I have my box. Sync
or whatever. It'd be neat to see a corporation that was fully in the cloud and fully on like iOS.
Or Chromebooks.
Yeah, or Chromebooks. That'd be interesting. It's totally possible.
It's totally possible, but it's not efficient yet.
Not yet.
Right?
Right. In order to be scalable, it can't be efficient.
Well, it would be more efficient if everyone was doing it.
And maybe more efficient if people actually had someone that would help them. So this is, going back to this pilot, he was talking to me about his family business, which is some car auctioning business. And he said that he has this local IT company, and they convinced his father-in-law's business people that it was cheaper for them to have an on-premise hosted server. Okay. And he's like built this whole mini little data center, and this guy was saying, yeah, the cloud is not ready yet, and he just this one, obviously it's like this, small business IT firm, and they're trying to win some biz and make themselves feel important, but
Sure.
To me, it's the desktop guys, who are afraid for their jobs. If they just learned how to be productivity consultants and understand how these apps work, how we can leverage cloud-based tools and all of that, I think there's merit in saying a small business could successfully run in the cloud.
Productivity consultants. I love that term. I've got a good graph here actually to show for this, so let me turn on screen sharing, one of the advanced features of Google Hangouts. This podcast brought to you by Google.com.
Okay, so we've been talking about productivity consultant type people for a while, and the thing is, what's the next thing then? I mean, do you really need a productivity person? Isn't the internet your productivity person for help?
But people are still afraid of the internet and Googling. I mean, okay, going back to this lovely the example we started off with kiosks and all these live virtual agents. Look on the other end. How many businesses and companies are now advertising? Their marketing pitch is you'll talk to a live person instead of talking to an automated machine.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why Capital One makes so much money, because you just talk to a person right away. But the thing is there are certain services where you want that, and there are certain services where you don't.
So it's understanding we're in a vortex of. So to that point, it's understanding what service or tool or whatever warranty utility I want to provide, and how does that fit the outcome that's trying to be desired?
It's listening. Listen to the market. If you can determine what your customers want, you will sell it.
I heard an expression today by a client who said, you know, we're okay with a business unit going out and getting their own technology and buying the SaaS application and bringing it in, and we understand that they're going to get themselves in trouble, and then we'll have to come help them, right? Being us, IT. And I sat there and I said to myself, shame on the SaaS company, right? Shame on that product company, because if you've designed your product to the point where your customer base now has to turn to their internal IT, then you've already failed your mission, as far as I'm concerned.
And I think there's fault on IT there too. Shame on you for waiting for something to break before you go and help them.
That's because you still believe an IT department needs to exist for all, which I don't.
Good point.
Well, right. So they could be going back to the business as well and saying help. I mean, who's going to help?
So are you saying, Hooper, that the SaaS solution should provide for all compliancy?
Yes, absolutely.
I think so too. I think that's the new definition of enterprise grade, which Cote had an excellent blog post about.
My enterprise Evernote should be the SOX compliant version.
So is Evernote compliant with everything a Choreo needs to be compliant with?
No, certainly not.
So you don't, because you don't put like personally identifiable information on there from your customers. You use that in another system, which covers that compliancy.
That's correct.
But can you integrate between the two? Because that's where you're going to see value in all these cloud systems.
Well, I mean, I think the thing is once cloud providers reach the point of providing that type of compliance, then it'll be available to everyone, and we'll be through this period of being afraid that we can do it better than they can. I mean, that kind of path is being forged right now. As soon as Amazon is fully, you know, compliant across the board for all the regulations, then everyone else is done, right?
I think then it comes down to being able to implement it and execute, like being able to actually deliver things then at that point.
Right. You got to get to the platform level.
Right. And
yeah.
Well, that's why I go back to this platform discussion. Like, what is a platform? Like, for me, a platform, it's the underlying that allows you to plug things into it, right? So all this ubiquitous stuff that we want to leverage, notes and files and docs and videos and information in databases, right? So is Google a platform? It's got email, it's got video, it's got doc sharing, it's got apps, collaboration.
Add Zapier and you've got workflow and automation.
Yeah.
The thing is that there's always going to be, we run into this on projects all the time, right? Someone comes in and they say, well, we want ServiceNow vanilla. We want it out of the box, or we want Remedy out of the box. And the reality is that if you take it out of the box, you're an idiot, because there's no way that it fits your business needs perfectly. The same can be said for these tools. You put it perfectly at the beginning. You said, I've got Evernote, Outlook, and Box Sync, and they're just living in harmony on your laptop and then in the cloud. It's a matter of being able to like leverage the right services to be harmonious.
Okay, but Matt, on the other side of things, you can, I mean, no one decides to customize Facebook for their business needs.
Oh, yeah, they do, of course. People remove those bloody notifications. It's the first thing people do.
That's not customizing. That's just...
Oh. Well, actually, no, that is also wrong. At this conference, fantastic tool, you should check it out. It's called the Facebook Demetricator. It's a Chrome plugin that removes all the numbers from Facebook. You can't see how many likes. You can just see that it was liked. You can't see how many friends you have. You can just see that you have friends.
Okay, but that further supports my point, which is go with what's ready for you at any given point. Shift around dynamically as necessary. Don't build what you think you need. Just be agile enough that you can get it quickly and move on when you're done.
So be agile, and that's why I haven't seen you on Facebook recently.
That was a bad example. But, I mean, it goes back to when Facebook does some sort of configuration change or some sort of upgrade, there's over 1 billion people whose lives are changed. whether they like it or not. You know?
Same with every, like, when Google, do you remember when Google used to mess around with the homepage?
Yeah.
People lost it. They lost it hardcore. I almost put a piece of gum in. I will not do that to you or our listeners. So I said I was going to play guitar during this episode, but I don't think our audience is ready for it. If you are ready for it, get on the QA panel live and tell me that you're ready for it.
I think the focus was on me for the first half of the podcast so far, so I'm sorry to everyone about that.
Oh, it's fantastic, and I don't actually have the timer running, which usually I'd cut us off at some point here. We try to keep it under a half hour, but...
Well, we're well under a half hour. We're fine.
Okay, good. So what is this, what else do we have to talk about today?
Well, okay, so what's the next generation platform look like then?
Zoho Creator. It's free.
You know, Mark, I think you hit it on the head. It's like where does the separation of app and, you know, interface start getting disconnected? Like, you know, I just asked some guys on my team today. I said, hey, is there any chance you can get ServiceNow integrated so I can log in with my Facebook ID? Right? Single sign-on, Okta, right? You look at there's another cloud solution for single sign-on. I mean, how do we get past now the interface? Where can I just go for one interface? And based on my contextual need, I'll find out what tool.
The interface is the platform. That's
the interface is the platform,
right? If I can just ask with my voice, can you please give me these two things, combine it with that, and send it to that person?
Computer, take me to Mach 5.
Right. Well, right. I mean, it's like instantly, integrations and APIs that work instantly based on a request that you're giving it live. You know.
Well, we were talking about this previously before we started the recording. Model-driven architectures, right? If as a financial trader, I can look at my computer and say, okay, well, I need to see this information, that information, and this statistics. And the computer was able to deduce what engines to grab, which data to use, which Bloomberg service to go out and acquire that data from, pull it together and return it to you. Now you're at the place where there's significant value. And really, where does IT fit into that? I don't know.
Well, they won't fit in until they understand how to derive those outcomes, right? We're still at the people still cannot have that conversation to understand what outcomes that financial analyst desires. And this, to me, that's the biggest roadblock to achieving that.
And every financial analyst is a snowflake. And so I always run into this where I need every client is a snowflake. I always run into this where there's like outsides, like this podcast, for example. I can use any bloody system I want to, right? And so I just use the systems that really work together, and I'm already using them, and I'm done. Then there's this tricky stuff, which is client information for my employer, the people who give me money, not like you guys who give me a check. But I can't do anything with that because it's not compliant. Either it's against company policy or it's against some compliance issues or a client contract, and who even knows? You need to be able to categorize people, and you can't.
No. That's why I say, where is IT? Where could you not have IT, and who is IT in that? In my scenario, I look at the financial analyst as IT.
Productivity consultant.
Productivity consultant.
Seriously, when I was in college, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that sentence.
Back when I was in college.
When I was in college, we were called consulting analysts, and we would sit with the professors who talked like this, actually. Sometimes they did. A lot of them drank heavily. But we would sit with them and, like, how are you doing your job? And there'd be this old guy in the physics department who was managing everything in Excel, and you're like, oh my God, what are you even doing? This is terrible. And then it would break, and you'd have to go fix it, and there'd be temp files, and it's terrible. But we literally sat with the professors and understood how they did their job. It was really informative. And
what I want to know is, what does a performance consultant who works at Pfizer do? That's...
Penis jokes on an IT podcast.
Why'd you have to go there?
Because I used to work for a medical firm. So if you go back to the first podcast and you hear what we actually make, listen to the ITSM Weekly, the podcast, episode 5. I think we talk about them.
Yeah, American Medical Systems.
Exactly.
Those
You still remember the name.
Oh dear.
I paid attention sometimes.
We've come a long way. That's one feature that Google Hangouts do not have. We cannot hug. We can high five. All right, so that's Hacking Business Technology, Episode 3. Thank you guys for being such great hosts. It's great to work with you. If you're interested in getting involved, send us an email, hackbiztech@gmail.com. Tweet us at hackbiztech. Get a hold of one of us. Google us. Do you know who we are? But get involved if you can, because I think it's really important. And if you've got guest suggestions, send them our way too. Anyway, signing off. Matt, have a good week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good